Hallo, schön, dass du reinschaust, muss man sagen. Und du kannst natürlich auch reinhören. Das ist Klappe auf, der Saxophon-Podcast Episode 21. Heute eine spontane Episode, ein spontanes Thema über eine Band, über einen Saxophonisten. Beide sind herausragend und das ist die Band und das ist der Saxophonist. Ja, das ist die Youngblood Brass Band. Meiner Meinung nach die mit Abstand weltbeste Jazz, Hip-Hop, Brass Band der Welt. Aus den USA, aus Wisconsin, das ist ungefähr nördlich von Chicago. Und diese Band mischt in wirklich einzigartiger Weise Hip-Hop, Jazz, Funk, Pop, Rock, alles zusammen zu einem eigenen Stil und wurde damit wirklich auch Trendsetter, eine Leitfigur dieser Brassband-Bewegung der letzten 20 Jahre. Im Prinzip orientieren sich alle modernen Brassbands, egal welchen Stils, nach dieser Band. Und diese Band ist wirklich die Benchmark und dort schaut jeder hin und das hört sich immer wieder jeder an, der in dieser Szene unterwegs ist und der sich für diese Szene interessiert. Also wirklich eine herausragende Band und diese Extrastellung hat sie zum großen Teil dem Arrangeur zu verdanken. Das ist Ned McIntosh, der Sousaphonspieler der Band. Er zeichnet für diese exquisiten Arrangements, für diese einzigartigen Arrangements verantwortlich. Und dazu natürlich haben sie 9 weitere Spitzenmusiker in ihren Reihen. Sie spielen mit 2 Trompeten, du hast es gesehen oder vielleicht gehört, 2 Saxophone, 2 Posaunen, 3 Schlagzeuger und eben dann Ned McIntosh am Sousaphon. Und die Musiker, die wohnen nicht alle irgendwo in einer Stadt, wie es oft üblich ist. Meistens ist es dann New York oder Los Angeles in Amerika. Nein, die wohnen mittlerweile verstreut über ganz Amerika. Und sie touren aber aktuell gemeinsam natürlich durch Europa, spielen in den nächsten 30, 35 Tagen 30 Konzerte in der Schweiz, in Frankreich, in Deutschland, Holland, Belgien, England, kommen sogar rauf bis nach Glasgow. Und ich war gestern beim einzigen Österreich-Konzert im Jazzit in Salzburg und habe mich natürlich mit dem Saxophonisten der Band getroffen, mit Zach Lucas. Und habe ihm so vieles über das Brass-Band-Spielen auch herauskitzeln können, muss man sagen. Und ich wollte jetzt einfach diese Episode reinquetschen in meinen Episodenplan, weil du die Band hören und sehen kannst, vor allem in den nächsten 35 Tagen hast du vielleicht die Möglichkeit, dass die Band irgendwo in deiner Nähe auftritt, und ich kann dir nur raten, falls du dich ein bisschen für diesen Stil interessierst oder sagst, ja, ich könnte mir das mal anhören, ich bin nicht total abgeneigt, dann geh dorthin, nimm dir unbedingt Ohrenschützer, irgendwas, Ohrenstöpsel für die Ohren mit, denn du spürst diese Musik am ganzen Körper. Es ist eine dermaßen Wucht, aber auch eine Präzision, aber auch eine Energie und Spontanität auch zu spüren und Spielfreude. Also das ist wirklich herausragend einzigartig. Und deshalb, wie gesagt, die Episode heute hineingequetscht. Und ja, Zach Lucas ist der aktuelle Saxophonist. Aktuell ist gut gesagt, er spielt schon seit 12 Jahren in der Band. Kommt ursprünglich aus Belgien, ist in Belgien geboren und übersiedelte im Alter von, glaube ich, 11 Jahren ungefähr mit seiner Familie nach Colorado. Vater ist auch ein Jazzmusiker, ein Trompeter. Und hat dann auf einem Konzert, du wirst es dann noch später im Podcast-Interview hören, eben dieses Schlüsselerlebnis gehabt und hat dann die Musikerlaufbahn eingeschlagen, hat Saxophon studiert und ist über einen Studienkollegen dann in die Youngblood Brass Band hineingeschlittert und spielt dort jetzt erfolgreich seit 12 Jahren. Ich muss dazu sagen, dass Spielen in einer Brassband, in einer modernen Brassband ist als Saxophonist, und wir sind hier in einem Saxophon-Podcast, ist nicht so einfach. Zunächst mal geht man davon aus, dass man ein komplexes musikalisches Programm auswendig spielen kann. Also man muss im Schnitt so 15 bis 20 Abläufe im Kopf haben. Und die Arrangements der Youngblood Brass Band im Speziellen sind natürlich extrem. Sie sind technisch extrem schwierig, sie sind hoch, sie sind tief, sie reizen wirklich alle Instrumente aus, so muss man es sagen. Und für den Saxophonisten, also für jeden Saxophonisten in einer Brassband, ist es schwierig, weil man steht immer neben sehr, sehr laut spielenden Instrumenten. Du hast die Trompeten neben dir, du hast die Posaune neben dir, hinter dir das Schlagzeug und die Tuba. Also hier hat man schon allein ein klangliches Problem. Man muss immer darum kämpfen, dass man im Prinzip sich selber dann noch auch einigermaßen gut hört, dass man seinen Sound auch gut unter Kontrolle hat. Ja, über den Sound, über seine Entwicklung als Saxophonist, seine eigenen Projekte, aber natürlich vor allem das Spielen, das Arbeiten und das Touren mit der Youngblood Brass Band habe ich mit Zach Lucas gesprochen, und hier ist das Interview in Englisch. Viel Spaß. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank
Zach
you.
Lucas. Thank you for your time. We are here in Salzburg. You're touring with the Youngblood Brass Band through Europe for a month.
Yes, 5-week tour.
5-week tour.
Yes.
How many concerts will you play?
I think 30.
30 concerts in
Yes.
5 weeks.
Yes.
And I think tonight you're playing the third.
Today is, yeah. It seems like we've been here for a really long time, but this is just the third concert.
Yeah.
We just started.
And how was the start? Where you?
It was good. We started in Switzerland, and usually it takes a couple days for people, because we're all coming from the States, and everyone is from different places, and it takes us a few days. We get in, and then we just try to relax and get over the jet lag, and then we also have to rehearse, and then so the first couple shows are just getting used to playing again, and this is it's difficult to try to train to play with a band like this, because there's so much energy, and you just play so much louder and more aggressive than you would normally.
How do you come along with that? How do you manage this?
It's really I guess for me it's just kind of focusing on sound first and foremost. And it's nice, to be mic'd, to have a microphone. but also it's just important to be able to project your sound, so where your sound is not just coming from your horn, it's coming kind of from a place above. It's kind of, I guess it's a little bit hard to explain, but it's kind of up in front of you instead of just coming out of the bell. It's not one dimensional. So it's like a third. It's like a third dimension. It's like when you're like the mastering process. Like after you're mixing and when you're mastering it. It's just to get the kind of a sound that is kind of full, encompassing.
Got it. And what was the preparing for this tour? How long have you practiced or rehearsed for this tour?
Yeah, well, really, we have we get the music that we're supposed to learn, and everyone's got to learn it on their own. So you have to just show up and play it, and then really, it's like the first couple shows it's gonna hurt.
You're playing completely new stuff, or is it a mixture?
We're playing some brand new things. Actually, last night we played a world premiere of a song by our musical director is named Nat McIntosh. And so we have a couple new pieces, and so last night we played it for the first night. So tonight it'll be I'm hoping a little bit better.
Okay.
Or complete or not. Maybe it'll be worse, but it'll be the second time we've played it.
But you stick to the program. You play the same program as yesterday.
As last night, I think so. But we might move some stuff around. You have to think about, like, for saxophone, it's not the same as like the trumpets and trombones who are playing super high and aggressive, and they so it's more important for them to space out the song so that they don't physically hurt themselves.
Of course. And you have also arranged music for the band, I guess.
I have a little bit,
And what's your process towards arranging for this kind of band? Do you really write each note, or is it more a development within the band when you rehearse, or is it really exactly arranged each note as we hear it, or is it more a development when you play and the music changes every night? What's the process of the band?
Yeah, well, so like I said, Nat is basically the musical director. And so some people, like the tune that I had on the last album, there was just a few ideas scattered here and there, and then he's really the one that puts it together. And he knows a lot about brass band music and arranging, and where players can play and where they should play, and where they sound good. So that's a skill in and of itself. So he knows people personally, because we've been together for a long time, and so he knows what people can do and sound good doing.
Of course. And of course he knows you very well because you play
almost too well. Everybody knows each other very well.
Because you were playing since 2007, I guess.
I started
7.
That's right.
For 12 years. And so you get the scores, you get the notes weeks before you start touring, and each member learns the notes, the scores by itself. Okay.
And then we also get we'll get like a MIDI recording with it, which sounds it sounds silly when you hear it. It sounds like a video game or something. But then you have to interpret what it will sound like.
But this is really the perfect and the whole arrangement from first to the end. There is no change, because this is what will be and what will be played on stage. No change, no discussion, no rearrangement. First, like he is doing this at home, arranging.
Yes.
And sending to you.
It's very through composed.
Yes.
Except for the solos.
The solos opened up or something like that, or changed. Wow. And how do you see the development of the band within the last 10 years since you were starting? Is it more
Yeah, I think it's been great. Well, because now we do have two saxophone players.
Yeah,
and the other saxophone player, Tony, plays tenor. I'm mostly an alto player. Alto is my specialty, but I also, I can play tenor, but really I don't have a unique sound on the tenor. Yeah. But I do on the alto. So that's just my preference. But also, so Tony does most of the tenor parts, and so. So Nat has been writing more now for two saxophones. Yeah. So and you can do, you can do a lot.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we'll come even more further to your career or to your development. You were born in Belgium.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I was.
And your family moved to the States when you were, I guess, 10 years old?
Yeah, I was 11 years old. So my father was a trumpet player.
Yeah.
And I guess, you can hear like on iTunes his album Niara. Yeah. And IARA, which came out in 1975. Okay. And that's kind of like a jazz fusion classic now, but also because it was in Belgium, it wasn't kind of a worldwide thing. So it's kind of like one of those records that people who really look for records, will get and know.
So you grew up in a music, in a family surrounded with music.
Yeah.
And but you were not moving to New York, or you
no,
you moved to Colorado.
I moved to Colorado. Yeah. I did. And then after Colorado, I went to school in Boston. Yeah. And I went to the New England Conservatory, and that's where I met Connor, who plays in this band. Okay. We went to university together, and then we were in...
This was the connection.
This is a connection to Youngblood also.
Ah, okay.
So we were in a band called Booty Juice, and we opened up for Youngblood in Wisconsin, and I want to say maybe 2003 or 2004, and... So Booty Juice played first, and then afterwards I remember standing in front of the trombone section of the Youngblood, really close to them, right off the stage, and I that was a fond memory. And then so after we just we stayed in touch, and that's kind of how they knew me.
And you got into the band a few years later. And well, you were jazz educated. You studied with Jerry Bergonzi?
Well, jazz, I started, my dad was teaching me jazz when I was really small. And so I started playing when I was 10 years old. And before that, piano lessons, classical piano lessons for a long time, and then saxophone. And it began, with Charlie Parker, really, for me. Wow. My brother had given me, there's like a 12 or 13 or whatever, CD compilation that Verve put out of Charlie Parker, and he gave me this whole collection of CDs, and that was really the beginning for me.
And it was immediately that you heard and realized that this was something special for you, or this was your thing.
It was special
from the start, right from the start.
Yeah.
Okay.
I couldn't believe it. I remember it very clearly.
It's very complicated for kids at the age of 10 or 12. I don't believe that if I would play Charlie Parker for my son, which is now, he's now 9 years old.
Yeah.
He plays piano, but he don't likes that kind of complicated music.
Like, Dad, where are the words?
Yeah.
Why aren't they saying anything?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, it's special, I think.
It was special, and then my dad took me to the 1993 North Sea Jazz Festival, and that's really when I was like, I'm gonna do this, because we got to stay up late. He was playing with a band that is.
Oh, he was performing.
He was performing, with a band out of Holland called Fra Big Band, and they have a smaller group like Fra Sound, but they at one point, and I don't know if they still do it, they had a big band.
Cool.
And so, you know, it was like 17-piece band, and I got to be there and just watch everyone interact, and they were all friends, and that was, you know, that sealed the deal for me.
What was the moment where you decided?
1993.
This would be your way with the age of 12.
Yeah. I got to meet, you know, like Terrence Blanchard was there. I met him. Abdullah Ibrahim was there. Dollar Brand. And then
North Sea Jazz Festival is
it was crazy.
It's the who is who. Yeah.
And then at that point, I think I don't know if it's still there. I think they may have moved, but then it was in Den Haag.
Yeah, it's close. I think it's close to. Yeah. Wow. And then you moved to New England Conservatory?
So after Colorado.
After Colorado?
Yeah.
And then you switched to New York or Boston? New York?
Boston. Yeah. So school in Boston for 4 years, and then I lived in New York for 11 years.
Now you're.
And now I'm back in Colorado.
Yeah, you are back in Colorado.
I'm back in Colorado.
Wow.
Yep.
How's that?
It's great.
It's great.
Yeah.
Okay. Because the connections are already made in New York on the scene, so I feel a telephone call or Skype or something like this where you can get contact with the guys.
Yeah, I do also like a lot of studio work, and so you know when I graduated college, it was more important to be, you know, in New York or in LA or Nashville or something like that. But now it's become less important to be, you know, in those types of places.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And what's about your project Sidecar New York? Is it already existing? Is it running?
It's going.
It's going, yeah.
Yeah. So we're a production duo.
Well, songwriting.
Yep, songwriting, and you know, so we're doing work, you know, trying to get work for various people and various artists, and so we have an album out already. Yeah. It's called Halfway to Paradise.
Yeah.
And it's pop. I'm doing, you know, all the instruments and you know, singing a little bit. And
is there some style where you feel closely to it, where you say this is my genre, is it hip hop, is it pop? Because when I heard your music, I couldn't catch you. Of course, it's not the mainstream post bop or soft pop jazz or something. It's far away from that.
Yeah,
it's a kind of everything.
It's a little bit.
How would you describe it?
It's a little bit quirky. You know what I mean? There's definitely a sense of humor to it. You know, and it's like I'm a funny person. I don't take myself too seriously. You know I think that's obvious. You know, it comes out.
Shines through the music.
It comes through the music.
Yeah, of course. And you're enjoying putting this and putting this stuff together and mixing it up. And,
I mean, I've always liked dance music. And,
I mean, hip hop and stuff like this. I've also realized it was completely. Well, I didn't thought when I saw and heard your tunes. It's one tune is called 1981.
1981.
Your birth.
That's the year.
Birthday year.
Yeah.
It's connected with of course. It's come from.
That's right. I don't think there's not like an anthem yet for 1981.
Oh yeah, of course.
So yes.
When you're practicing, what is your most important saxophone exercise practice? What would you prefer, or what would you recommend to my podcast listeners?
I just really think, and the things that help me the most are really quite the most simple and boring things, unfortunately, are the things that help the most.
Oh my God.
I wish it was a little bit more exciting. I wish it was a little bit more exciting, but I just really, you know, just if you just get into the space where you have a moment, because there's so much going on, and I'm guilty of it too. You know, I'm just like looking at my phone, you know, or it's just like, you know, whatever, you're like cooking something. It's just like, just stop, you know, just having that time alone with your instrument, I think is what I like about practicing the most, and really just playing long tones, and just super boring. I know.
Oh my God!
And just
I thought I've got some really hip recommendations.
It's so boring. It's it really is.
It's so exciting. Long tones are so exciting. Of course.
Well, I mean, one thing that I've noticed though in a lot of younger players is also they use too much tongue.
Yeah.
And also just too much like constant vibrato.
Yeah. Can you recommend some books, or is there a favorite book which you have practiced?
I don't have any favorite books, but I like to practice just playing straight long tones and not using the octave key.
Oh yeah, that's great exercise.
So just start just start open and then work your way down, because I really do think that like the meat of the saxophone, or the alto I should say, is kind of just like right below your middle C. So if we're talking on an alto, just like your F sharp, down, and really get their low end nice and robust, and then everything else kind of falls into place.
Yeah. And do you have a certain special exercise for timing? Well, when you practice your timing, is there a special exercise where what you use to improve your timing, or is it just playing with episodes or
I think Ebersols are fine, but also you just play to something that you really like to listen to.
Yeah. Do you record yourself regularly? Playing? In order to check out?
No, I don't. No.
Really? No.
No.
Okay, crazy.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. And I'm always interested in the setup of the great sax players. What are you using? For example, what is your alto? Is it a Selmer?
It's a Selmer, yeah.
Yeah.
It's from the late 60s, 1968.
Oh, yeah. What mouthpiece do you use?
I use this company. It's called Runyon, and I don't even know if they're still in business. I've had this mouthpiece forever, and I'm not a big mouthpiece guy. It's like if I find something that works, I just stick with it, and it's just worked since high school. But anyway, it's called Runyon. It's a size 7. It's called the Spoiler. And the reason I play it is actually I was taking some lessons with a Cuban saxophonist named Yosvani Terry, and at that time, this is like late 90s, he had one. And I really liked everything about his sound, and I was looking for a mouthpiece, and so I chose that one.
You don't change your setup when you're going to Youngblood Brass Band. You always stick to your setup, playing with your mouthpiece, not changing something cool to blow louder or something like that. No, it's always just the same mouthpiece or the setup you're playing.
Yeah, it seems to work.
Yeah, of course, and feels comfortable. I think. Is there a difference when you improvise in such a loud or rhythmic band like the Youngblood Brass Band compared to a soft or a jazz or another style you're playing?
Mm-hmm.
Because I think I know playing in a brass band is always very concentrated on grooves, on rhythmic, on playing constantly exact together and sticking together. And does this also refer to your soloing?
Yes. Yeah.
Is it more rhythmical, or how would you describe that?
I think it's just a little bit more like kind of like how a guitarist would solo.
Yeah.
So it's aggressive, but then it's also like in brass band music, like a horns. You're playing stuff that like you would like your band director would probably be like, no, don't do that. So like, you're just playing, like you're falling off a lot of notes, you're like doing a lot of glissandos and doing false fingerings and things like that. Because that's kind of like the nature of the music isn't so much about like how perfect your technique, or the fluidity of your, 8th or 16th notes are. It's really kind of like we're trying to send a message, that's like, here's your solo, and you can really do whatever you want. But I think it's the goal is to kind of reach the people who are listening,
Are the solos opened up, or is the form strictly played?
Yeah, it's a certain amount of bars.
Yeah,
but
they're not open for on cue and you're playing and you go ahead.
No, because oftentimes there's backgrounds, so it's really, for a brass band, it's very through composed. A lot of brass band music is kind of like what you said.
We open it up and play on cue and go ahead.
Yeah, but especially the original songs that we composed are
strictly
pretty, on the page type of stuff. And then I guess the goal, is to try to make it seem like it's not.
Yeah, of course.
Or else it sounds a little bit too
spontaneous,
robotic.
Wow. Cool. So I will finish the interview with my 3 or 4 rapid fire questions. What was the best concert you have attended?
It had to have been that 1993 Fra Big Band concert where I got to see my dad play. Yeah, I don't really know how to explain it, but it was one of those moments where it was like, this is, my life is different now.
Yeah.
It wasn't just because my dad was there, and then he also he passed away the next year, but it makes it it makes it that much more
special,
more potent. Yep.
Yeah. What was the last CD you have bought?
Ooh, the last CD. It's been a lot. Oh my God. I think it was like the Daft Punk.
Okay.
Random Access Memories, is that the name of it? It was a few years ago. Okay. I haven't bought a CD in a really long time.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And what would have been your profession if you wouldn't have become a musician?
I really don't know. That's a really good question. I think I'd be a good driving instructor.
You really?
Yeah, I think I'd be really good at.
Okay. Yeah. So you like to drive?
No, not really. I think I'm just good at teaching people how to drive.
Okay, teaching. But do you?
I don't think I'd be. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So great. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah. Thank you.
This is wow. It's so cool. Zach, thank you.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Youngblood Brass Band tonight.
Yeah.
And for 30 days.
Yes.
In Europe, touring through Germany.
For the next 4 weeks.
4 weeks.
France. We're going to UK.
Germany. Austria, Switzerland again.
Tomorrow
you'll play again.
We're in Bern tomorrow. Yeah.
Wow, cool. So thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
We appreciate your concerts very much. Thank you. Das war Zach Lucas, Saxophonist der Youngblood Brass Band. Ein lustiger, kreativer Typ, nicht nur musikalisch, sondern auch persönlich ein wirklich ganz, ganz netter und sympathischer Musiker, ein Spitzenmusiker, der wirklich hier on top spielt in einem Spitzenensemble und selber wirklich ganz, ganz tolle Projekte macht. Musst du dir unbedingt anschauen. Und die Shownotes findest du wie üblich unter www.saxophonlernen.com/E21, also E21, Episode 21 ist das jetzt. Und da findest du die ganzen Links zu Zach Lucas, zur Youngblood Brass Band, Link zur Homepage, ein paar YouTube-Videolinks habe ich reingestellt und vor allem die Tourdaten sollten für dich interessant sein. Ich wiederhole sie nochmal. 30. Oktober in Weiden, 31. Oktober Halloween in München, 1.11. Frankfurt, 2. Berlin, 3. Hannover, 4.11. in Köln, 5. November dann in Freiburg. Und sie sind auch vorher noch in Amsterdam, Eindhoven, also Holland, Belgien, dieses Eck. Und auch in Luzern in der Schweiz sind sie am 19. Oktober. Tourende ist in Frankreich dann am 9. November. Also eine anstrengende Zeit liegt vor Ihnen, aber ich bin mir sicher, wer Sie auf der Bühne lebt, Sie haben eine Menge Spaß und Sie werden eine Menge Spaß haben bei all Ihren Konzerten. Ja, das war's diesmal schon. Ich hoffe, ich konnte dir einen Tipp geben, mit dem du etwas anfangen kannst. Youngblood Brass Band ist die wirklich schlechthin die Brassband der Gegenwart, an der sich alle orientieren. Und ich kann dir es nochmals empfehlen, falls du es noch nie gehört hast oder dich wirklich interessierst für solche Sachen. Geh dahin, es lohnt sich jede Kilometeranfahrt zu diesem Konzert. Ja, das war's. Wenn du Lust hast und möchtest meinen iPod unterstützen, was mich sehr freuen würde, dann hinterlasse eine positive Bewertung für den Podcast auf iTunes. Das hilft mir natürlich, dass ich noch mehr Menschen erreichen kann. Und wenn du selber Themen hast, die dich interessieren, dann schreib mir joe@saxophonlernen.com, Saxophon mit F geschrieben natürlich.com. Ich versuche immer diese Themen auch mit aufzunehmen in meinen Themenkatalog. Und ja, dann hoffe ich, du hörst oder du schaust auch beim nächsten Mal wieder rein. Diese Folgen gibt es auch auf YouTube, kann man die jetzt dann sehen. Und natürlich auch auf, wie gesagt, auf E21 auf der Seite dieser Podcast-Episode. Ich danke dir für deine Zeit. Noch einen schönen Tag oder noch einen schönen Abend. Bis zur nächsten Episode. Dein Joe.